Welcome to the Global Focus channel. The untold story about King Solomon is that despite being a beloved ruler, his journey contains some unfavorable aspects. The Bible, as a comprehensive and unbiased work, does not try to hide the imperfections of our revered heroes of faith. It is difficult to think of the other revered kings mentioned in the scriptures without mentioning Solomon. He will always be remembered as a leader who deeply loved God. He offered 1,000 burnt offerings and sought wisdom, standing out for his exceptional understanding, which resulted in peace and resolution of conflicts, as recorded in 1 Kings 3:14. Who was Solomon, and why did he fall? He was the man who had 1,000 wives and concubines. Solomon expressed his love for the Lord by following the guidance of his father David. Additionally, he performed sacrifices and burned incense at the high places. When he went to Gibeon to offer sacrifices, a significant location, Solomon presented 1,000 burnt offerings on the altar. That night, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream and asked him to request anything he desired. Solomon responded by acknowledging the divine kindness toward his father David for his faithfulness, justice, and uprightness of heart. He expressed gratitude for being allowed to continue his father's legacy by sitting on David's throne. However, he humbly recognized his own inexperience, considering himself merely a child compared to the greatness of God's chosen people. With countless responsibilities ahead, Solomon made a unique request to the Lord: a discerning heart to govern the people and distinguish between good and evil. Given the monumental responsibility he faced, the Lord was pleased with this request. He stated that since Solomon did not ask for wealth, long life, or victory over enemies, but rather for discernment to administer justice, he would grant Solomon a wise and discerning heart. Furthermore, unexpected blessings of riches and prestige were bestowed upon Solomon, emphasizing that he would be unparalleled among rulers as long as he remained obedient and followed the decrees and commandments, just as his father David had done. The Lord promised Solomon a long life if he continued to be obedient. Solomon gained great renown for his knowledge and the solutions he provided. He authored some of the most prominent books in the Bible, including Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, and Proverbs, which are filled with profound wisdom. In these works, he expressed numerous insightful words, quotes, songs, and proverbs that still hold deep meaning today. Notable examples of these pearls of wisdom include Proverbs 5:9-2, where he advises to pay attention to wisdom and understanding in order to maintain discretion and preserve knowledge. Another example is found in Proverbs 9:19, where he declares that the fear of the Lord is the foundation of wisdom and understanding. In Ecclesiastes 3, Solomon reflects on the concept of time, highlighting that there is a suitable time for everything and every activity under the heavens. He acknowledges that God has made everything appropriate in its own time, and the understanding of the divine works from beginning to end is beyond the grasp of humans. Solomon was a wise and highly esteemed man, difficult to overlook and easy to admire. As a result, many people from near and far sought his wisdom, wealth, and counsel. This is evident in the account found in Kings 10, when the Queen of Sheba, upon hearing about Solomon's fame, journeyed to Jerusalem to personally test the stories circulating about his wisdom and his relationship with the Lord. Upon her arrival, she brought a grand caravan of camels laden with spices, large quantities of gold, and precious stones. Solomon and the Queen of Sheba had a meeting, during which she shared her thoughts and questions with him. Solomon, known for his wisdom, answered all her inquiries effortlessly. The king's ability to explain even the most challenging subjects left a lasting impression on the queen. She marveled at the splendor of his palace, the lavishness of his table, the refinement of his officials, and the impeccable attire of his attentive servants, cupbearers, and those involved in the temple rituals. The Queen of Sheba expressed her deep admiration for Solomon and conveyed the news she had heard about his achievements and wisdom in her own country. She confirmed the truth of these reports and admitted that she had doubted them until she witnessed them firsthand. Descriptions alone could not capture the grandeur and magnificence she experienced. The queen praised the Lord God for blessing Solomon and placing him on the throne of Israel. She acknowledged that his ascent to power was a testament to the Lord's eternal love for Israel, appointing him to uphold justice and righteousness. As a gesture of appreciation, the queen presented Solomon with lavish gifts, including 120 talents of gold, copious amounts of spices, and precious stones. She also brought an unprecedented quantity of spices, surpassing anything seen before. Ships from Ophir brought gold, almug wood, and more precious stones. Solomon utilized the almug wood to construct supports for the temple of the Lord and the royal palace. Additionally, he crafted musical instruments such as harps and lyres for the musicians. This import of almug wood remained unparalleled in history. King Solomon not only fulfilled all of the Queen of Sheba's wishes and requests, but also surpassed her expectations with his generous donations. Following their encounter, she departed with her group and returned to her own nation. Every year, King Solomon received a sum of 666 talent of gold, excluding the profits gained from merchants, traders, and the various Arab kings and governors in the territories. Solomon took on the task of creating 200 large shields made of hammered gold, each weighing 600 shekels of gold. Additionally, he made 300 small shields of hammered gold, with each shield containing 3 kilograms of gold. These smaller shields were placed in the palace of the Lebanon forest. The king also possessed a magnificent throne entirely adorned with ivory and covered in delicate layers of gold. However, certain unpleasant and unjust aspects of his life, such as his marriage to 700 wives and 300 concubines, are surprising, as described in the first book of Kings 11. Solomon had affections for many foreign women, including the daughter of Pharaoh, Moabites, Ammonites, Sidonians, and Hittites. Despite the Lord's warning to the people of Israel against marrying individuals from these nations, Solomon's wives turned his heart away from the Lord and towards other gods, which was not in line with his father David's devoted heart. He became devoted to Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and to Molech, the detestable god of the Ammonites. Therefore, Solomon displeased the Lord and did not remain fully faithful, unlike his father David. On an eastern hill of Jerusalem, Solomon constructed a high place for Chemosh, the abominable deity of Moab, and for Molech, the detestable god of the Ammonites. He also adopted the customs of the Ammonites, partaking in the rituals of his foreign wives, who burned incense and made sacrifices to their gods. The Lord became furious with Solomon because his loyalty shifted away from the Lord, the deity of Israel, who had appeared to him on 2 occasions. Despite the Lord's prohibition on following other gods, Solomon disregarded the divine command. Consequently, the Lord informed Solomon that, due to his attitude and disobedience to the covenant and commandments, the kingdom would be taken away from him and bestowed upon one of his servants. However, out of respect for David, his father, this would not occur during Solomon's lifetime. Instead, in the reign of his son, one tribe would be removed, but the kingdom would not be entirely abolished. This decision was made in consideration of David, the servant of the Lord, and the chosen city, Jerusalem. Over time, Solomon's indulgence, weakness, and lack of self-control in his relationships with women caused God to distance himself from him, resulting in the loss of nearly all his possessions. In the first book of Kings, chapter 11, verses 2 to 8 and 40, Jeroboam emerged as a prominent figure. Recognizing Jeroboam's exceptional abilities as a young man, Solomon appointed him as the overseer of the labor force of the tribes of Joseph. As Jeroboam was leaving Jerusalem, he encountered the prophet Ahijah of Shiloh, who was wearing a new cloak. The two were alone in the field, and the prophet tore the new cloak into 12 pieces, instructing Jeroboam to take 10 pieces for himself. The Lord, the God of Israel, declared, "I am going to remove the kingdom from Solomon's grasp and give you 10 tribes. However, in consideration of my servant David, and in consideration of Jerusalem, the city that I have selected from all the tribes of Israel, I will reserve one tribe for the son of Solomon. This is so that he may have a constant presence before me in Jerusalem, the city I have chosen to bear my name. The inclusion of Molech, the god of the Ammonites, was mentioned as a contributing factor to this decision. Solomon did not worship God or follow his laws and commands like David, his father, did. Nevertheless, God declared that he would not take away the entire kingdom from Solomon during his lifetime. However, the kingdom would be taken from the hands of his son. Jeroboam was destined to rule over 10 tribes of Israel as long as he obeyed God's commandments, did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, and followed his decrees and commandments. Just as David had done, God promised to be with Jeroboam, establish a lasting dynasty for him, and give him dominion over Israel. Despite this, there would be humiliation for the descendants of David, but it would not be permanent. Solomon attempted to kill Jeroboam, but he fled to Egypt and sought refuge with King Shishak, where he remained until Solomon's death. Solomon, once the revered leader of the 12 tribes of Israel, only had one tribe left at the end of his life. As we conclude this journey, I encourage you to contemplate the choices we make each day. May we learn from Solomon the significance of making ethical and spiritual decisions, understanding that these choices not only shape our own destinies, but also the destinies of those we lead in future generations. I hope you found this video about Solomon enjoyable. If you appreciate similar content, please share your opinions and suggestions for future videos. May God bless you, and I look forward to seeing you soon.